Hey friends! In this practice, it will be a shorter practice focusing just on wrist care. So think about this practice as being a great one to do right before a longer vinyasa class, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of wrist work or yoga poses that involves more of using your wrist. So I do have 2 blocks here, and you really don't need any props for this one, but I do like to practice some wrist care with using blocks. So if you have them, give them a try. You can always omit them from your practice today. But let's go ahead and get started in a seated position or sitting back on your heels. Now, if you have the blocks and you're sitting back on the heels, you can definitely place a block right underneath of your hips and find a little bit of a seat there. Otherwise, feel free to sit on your glutes. Now for the first one here, we're going to go ahead and interlace the fingers and just give the wrists a nice little sort of rinse here. So it doesn't have to look anything like how my wrists are looking. Just think about rinsing through the hips. And as you do that, notice what you might be hearing. So notice if you're hearing any sort of like cracking or crunching noises. Just start to tune into that. If it's helpful for you to arrive here in this practice today, you can close down your eyes or find a soft gaze down in front of you. And so I'm just circling here through the wrist. Again, nothing really particular. Just sensing into any sensation. We'll do this just a few more times. And then we'll release from that. Go ahead and place your hands just down back into your lap, just resting your hands down. Now we're going to come off of that block if you were sitting on the block. Place it back up towards the top of your mat. Let's come to a tabletop position. Now I'm going to have my hands on the blocks here, but again, if this does not feel good in your body, feel free to come off of the blocks. My knees are going to be just right under my hips here. And you can think of approximate having your wrists under your shoulders. And so take a moment in this position where both fingertips are pointing away from you. We're going to take a few cat and cows. So on your next inhale, think about lowering your belly, lifting your heart, spreading your collarbones. And an exhale to round your spine. Bring your chin up towards your chest. Inhale, come to your cow pose. And exhale, round and coming to your cat pose. So just take a few more cat and cows here. If you are using the blocks, I definitely would recommend having them on the lowest height just to avoid any sort of topsy-turvy movements there. You want to have that stability down through the blocks. Take a few more cat and cows, no rush. And then coming back to a neutral tabletop here, the right hand is going to spin towards the body, so the right fingertips are going to face us. Now here we're going to take a few more cat and cows. So just coming back to that inhale, cow pose, exhale, cat pose. Notice what sensations that has changed in your body, especially down the right forearm. Notice that stretch just underneath the skin layer. Take a few more cat and cows. Again, just no rush to this. Simple breath, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. When you take your next inhale, come back to that neutral tabletop. Slowly spin your right fingertips forward. And then we'll do that on the second side. So left fingertips are going to face back towards you. Before finding any movement at all, just notice how that feels. And then for this one, maybe you even want to experiment with tucking the toes under as well. So sometimes that can just be a nice little added bonus here. And then let's cat and cow again in this direction here. So just bringing that awareness now down to the left forearm, the left wrist, and just taking some cat and cows in this position here. Again, no rush to the breath, Just noticing what sensations this is bringing into your body. Your next inhale, come back to neutral. Left hand is going to spin back towards the top of your mat, so both fingertips facing towards the front of the mat here. And now feel free to bring your blocks together. Now again, you can totally just ditch the blocks here if you would like. Now we're going to turn both fingertips towards the long edge of our mat, towards the outer edges of our mat here. And you can widen or narrow your stance here. I like to have my fingertips just off of the blocks and just take a gentle sway side to side here. So we're looking for sensation down the forearms still, maybe through the front of the wrists now. And so just check in with if this is too deep for you, if you need to adjust your hands, if you need to get rid of the blocks. Especially if your arms are a little bit longer, maybe the blocks just doesn't feel good in your body, so feel free to check in there. And just gently swaying side to side, feeling into these different angles that maybe most of the time we don't really get into. Feeling a stretch in a different area and just noticing the tone of the tissues, the muscles down the forearms. A few more times swaying side to side. When you come back to center here, we're going to take our blocks, place them lengthwise down the mat again. Both hands are going to plant again on the blocks or off the blocks. Now the right hand, we're going to flip it. So the right fingertips are going to face us again, but the palm is going to face up. Now for most people, this might be enough sensation for you just to stay right here. Or you can gently tuck your toes and start to lean back into your hips. Not a whole lot though. So just notice your range of motion. Notice where you need to stop. So nothing should be painful here. Just gently leaning back, feeling that sensation still down through the forearms perhaps. Notice where you're feeling a stretch in your body. Take some slow, deep breaths. And if the sensation is a lot, feel free to really just loosen up through the jaw as well. So you might notice you might be tightening up through the jaw. Let your jaw hang. Slowly come back up and then just turning that palm face down. Come back to both fingertips pointed towards the front of your mat. And just take a moment to notice. Now flipping the left palm over. So left palm is facing up, left fingertips pointing back towards you. We'll do that same thing on this side. So slowly tucking your toes, leaning that weight back more towards your hips and your heels. And I'm already noticing this side, I cannot lean back as far. So I don't want to force the range of motion. I'm just simply being curious about the range of motion. Being curious about feeling that stretch down through the arm. And just approaching this with a non-judgmental way. So being curious here, no judgments. Just having this self-inquiry of your range of motion. Take a few deep breaths, relax the jaw again. Just a few more breaths here. Slowly coming back up, flipping the palm back down, fingertips facing towards the top of your mat. Let's take a few cat and cows here, just normal cat and cows, or I should say regular cat and cows here. Just a few more times with your cat and cow. On your next inhale, come back to a neutral tabletop. And go ahead and take a seat there, again, either onto your heels or on your sit bones. We won't be here too long. But go ahead and just find a seat here. We're going to interlace the fingers again and just take a moment to sort of just relax through the wrist. Have this little bit of play through the wrist here and just notice how it feels now compared to at the beginning of the practice. Give the wrists a nice little rinse here. Maybe even shake out the wrist and then come back to that. So it doesn't have to be anything specific. Even just stretching the fingers. We don't really give ourselves a lot of time to care for the wrist and to spend some time here. So this is a great one to come back to, especially if you know you're going to do a longer vinyasa practice. And this is also a great one in traditional Chinese medicine to practice, especially for the fire element. So right now it's summertime, we're in this fire element, and the organs associated with the fire element, those meridians run through the wrists and through the hands, so we're supporting the fire element as well and supporting those organs and meridians. So just take a few more breaths here, circling the wrists in any direction. Again, maybe shaking out the hands. And then slowly let your hands come back down into your lap. Take a moment to close your eyes. Notice what you might be feeling. You can bring hands to heart center as we close out this class for today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Remember to always take care of yourself. Namaste.